Hey everybody, welcome back to Landshark Garage. This episode, we're going to be working on this big dog out here. Doing a few things. Take care of an exhaust leak. Maybe put a carburetor on it, fender. See how far we get. I am sporting a horrible cold. A horrible cold. I know it's a cold and I know it's not COVID because my mother had me tested. So, I'm just kidding. That's kind of a Big Bang reference. Yeah, so I apologize in advance for the sniffling, coughing, sneezing, stuffy head crap. But we're gonna get outside, balmy 48 degrees, do some work on the big girl. Maybe we'll do something on this. Here we go. So we're gonna try and get this manifold off. A few things to do first. I said in the other video we're gonna take the AC off, but make it so we can put it back on when the time comes to do that. So I'm gonna tackle that today. Also, this has got, walk around the old tool cart. Man, maybe we should just dig through boxes. I have like an unpackaging of just the crap that's in here. This kind of got the old school hydraulic brake controller. Runs off of brake power, so I'm gonna delete that because I'll have an electric brake controller on there. And these hydraulic ones are cool. I mean, I know people that love them, so I'm just not that guy. Don't use a brake controller that much. So hopefully this is the line that comes out of the brake controller, goes into this T. If I took the T out and put that in there, that would solve the problem too. But these threads are pretty. Another dog walking by, Jake's having a fit about. So these this brake line is all gacked up. So is this one, but this one is the one I don't care about. So I'm just gonna put old locking pliers on there, pop that out of there. Hopefully, we'll see. But it's, yeah, somebody, it looks like they probably tightened it with the locking pliers. Oh yeah. Oh, piece of cake. So then I got an inverted flare plug that I'm just going to screw up in there and tighten up so that they'll just have a T on it, but it won't leak. And I don't have to mess around and turn this into a way bigger project than it needs to be. Now we'll go with the non-locking pliers. See if we can. That thing is just trashed. That was pretty simple though. You're really losing brake fluid. Now if I could just get this started, huh? Wouldn't that be awesome? And this isn't another day. It's as it warms up, I'm slowly changing out of my hoodie into a flannel and probably be in a t-shirt shortly. Bib overall days are coming though, boys and girls. Mrs. Landshark's excited about that. Give old Mortsky something to talk about. There we go. Well, that was simple. I'm just going to cut this off here, get it out of the way. So now we're going to take the old AC compressor out of here. I'm probably just going to leave the lines attached to it. I'll disconnect it here, disconnect it over there at the air conditioner, pull everything off just the way it sits, and get it out of the way so I can work on the exhaust manifold. But also I want to be able to keep this everything so next summer I can just hopefully get AC in it. That'd be cool. Oh yeah, that guy's going away too. Got the other carburetor sitting here waiting to go, so we'll do that today hopefully. But looks of it, should be able to. Might have to modify some mounting points, but no big deal. I don't know if it's just the difference in the year or what. The Rochester I have, fuel comes in over here, up on top. This one comes in down the bottom, so I'll have to run a hose over there. Probably take these lines loose first. Big boy toys. Oh sure. Next biggest wrench I got is gonna be too big. So I got this little bitty made in USA crescent wrench, bi-crescent, pretty nice. Don't think I've ever used it for anything. Probably strip it right out. That'd be great. Crescent wrenches, perfect. Never did check to see if this thing had any Freon in it. Don't listen to that. That's just built up air. That's not Freon. That's just pressure. Yeah, I didn't think there was anything in it. Man, these radiator hoses are. You'd think when a guy put a heater core in last year, he'd have replaced these, but I didn't. So I guess that's on me. Them things are nasty. All right, I went ahead and just plugged these up with some Gorilla Tape just so that nothing gets in there and contaminates everything. I'd like to just take this bracket off, but I don't think I can get in on that nut without messing around with the power steering. This one I can. I wonder what that wire's for. She's pretty green. So now that that's out of the way, I can pull plug wires, I mean. Take them out. I'll probably take the plugs out too. Just because. We'll see if we can get that manifold out of there without killing ourselves. So here's the exhaust manifold we're going to put in. This is a Dorman exhaust manifold for a big block 454. Looks like it's a fits several years deal. Got some smog ports, got some plugs that this one doesn't have in it. It's got two different size studs, I suppose, so if you have a heat riser, comes with all the springs and everything. The only thing it doesn't come with is, by the looks of it, is a donut that's here, and that could have something to do with the pipe. I'm not sure. I haven't taken that apart. That's what we're going to do now. Start taking this apart. Just wanted to make sure everything looked okay since I bought it like well over a year ago. And decide what I'm going to need when I get underneath there to take those 3 studs off. Hopefully they just break off. Been on there their whole life, but yeah, you can see I bet that's just gonna fall apart when we take it apart. So there's what we're shooting for. Doesn't look like I can get a ratchet on most of it. We'll try, see what happens. This should be 9/16, and they're gonna just come right off because we really don't care if they break or not, because we got all new stuff. Yep, I'm gonna have to get a universal joint. Stand by. This thing's got an H pipe in it. That's pretty cool. It's gotta be good for 10 horsepower, doesn't it? Oh, she's a Butte Clark. That 400's some greasy pig. Look at these little windage tray thing on it. That's cool. I've never messed around with the Turbo 400. Got this little flow through gear wrench. Might give that a try if all else fails. I did get a universal knuckle. Next oil change, I'll probably convert this over to a 1794 oil filter, which is the 2-quart version of the GM filter, because there's plenty of room here for it. Give you that little bit extra oil. Alright, we got that loose. Let's see if we can get the top side done. This is the rust I got to deal with underneath here. I should have did this while I was down there, but I don't know if you can see the cab support. This looks like it's all been redone one time. Now it gets redone a second time. Oh, I never saw that. That's pretty interesting. Keep finding more shit that I need to fix. Fun. Let's get this in. Let's get this exhaust manifold off of here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts to take out on this. Hopefully they come out as easy as the ones down below did. Doggone it, I thought I was going to break in half. I'm disappointed. So it's hung up in that ring back there that goes on the 3 studs we took off on the bottom. I have to get that loose. See if we can convince that to play along. It's not hung up bad, but this little tab right there is keeping it from coming out. That's what's holding me up. Yeah, Mrs. L. She's been working on a very important project. Halloween blow-ups.
It is very important.
It is. We are good now. We're good in the Halloween blow-up part. The exhaust is so rigid. You know what I mean? It didn't just fall down like I expected it to. Just kind of sitting there. It's really gonna put a pry bar on it, step it down. That might help.
Can you come just forward with it?
I think I'll just go get the pry bar and we'll step that exhaust down a little
Yeah,
bit.
that'd probably be the easiest.
So anyway, after the dog got out, I started working again and didn't have the camera on to see how amazing I was at getting that out of there, but basically took a pry bar and pushed down on the exhaust, got it out. I was going to check this donut, but look at this funky homemade thing. She's got an angle cut in it, so get all the flow, but it's a steel ring. Should be in good shape. I'm just going to leave it, not going to replace it, because it's sitting nice in there. Should seal up good. Get the new one ready to go, and we'll put it back in. So on this one, we're going to make sure all these are tight. Try and figure out which one of these studs we need. The ones with the springs against them, I don't know if I want to use them or not. The other studs went right up to the flange, so there wasn't much of a gap there. These have a shoulder on them, like the newer stuff does, and then you put this on, put your flange up, spring and a washer, and then the spring holds it against the bottom of the manifold. Don't know if I'm gonna get that tight enough. It's the only problem. Doing it that way, or if I just go get regular studs like they're on there right now. So let's take a look at this guy. That crack goes all the way around it, but she's still intact. This must be the only thing holding it, is this piece of boss here. I thought it would break in half, but crack doesn't go down the bottom. The studs on this one are threaded all the way. Studs that came with the kit got shoulders on them and springs like the newer vehicles do, but I didn't want to mess around with that, so I dug this out of stock. And this is just the same ones that were in there before with brass nuts. That way I don't have to worry about putting the ones that came with it in and getting underneath there and finding out that they don't tighten and hold that flange up tight against the bottom of the manifold. So we're going to tighten this emissions crap down so it doesn't leak, and we're going to put the studs in, and then we're going to drop this back in the old hot rod. So 600, 18, 16. That's the 3/8 version of these if you ever look for them. So these guys got like a little 1/4 inch hex head to help you put them in, so you don't have to use a vice grips. This has still got the original upper hose on it. Yeah, I was looking at the GM number on it. I'm like, oh, you don't see that. Especially in something that was probably pulling most of the time, you know, where it just, you should be able to put this bolt and this bolt in, have it hanging there, and then be able to slide the gasket in behind it. That's one thing I like about them GM gaskets, or the way they make, way the companies make them, so you can do that, because otherwise it takes like 9 guys to do it. Now if you just crawl underneath there and hook them other 3 up, that'd be great, thanks.
No, thanks.
She just like, nope, not a bit, Pally. One exhaust manifold that is not broken, installed. Okay, so before we start doing our carburetor work, I want to get a fender on here to kind of stabilize this radiator support flopping around. This truck came with new inner fenders and pre-jammed fenders, so they didn't come with the little clips to add everything to, so we're going to put them on, and then we'll get it up there and get it set in there. Might not get it all adjusted the way we want to, but we'll have it on there so it can kind of firm this part up so we can do some of the engine stuff that we need to do. Probably going to put something across the driver's side just to stabilize it too, because a lot of that work's going to be done from the front. So this is we already got the inner fender well mounted. Don't know if that was a good idea or not, but it's there, so we're going to work with it that way, just to live and learn, I guess. But so brand new fenders shouldn't be too terrible. We'll see how it goes. We did keep our big pile of rusty bolts that held the other fenders on, and we'll probably be reusing a lot of them. So on most fenders, there's one that hooks in here on the door, there's one that hooks in on this hole, and then here, and that's basically all you have in the back side. Then your fender wells go into what the clips we just put in, and then these have captive nuts in the fender to hold them on. So pretty straightforward. Most of your adjustment is back here. You can see I got the shims that were in the original fenders, and I got them marked where they're going to go, and I'm going to put them back into the spot where they were at, and then we can do our adjusting from there when we start trying to straighten out our lines and stuff. But we're a long ways away from that. But having that fender on there is going to help us protect it if it's sitting outside, which it hasn't been very well. But we got hooked up with a very nice hood today. Needs very little work. The one we did have that was sitting on this table, got from one of our subscribers, a friend of mine, that he had it and it was very cheap, but it needed a lot of work. So I made a swap with another friend. He just needed a hood to sit over the top of a motor in a truck he had sitting outside, so we just went down and swapped it out this morning and got all squared away. But that hood over there that we got in the back of this GMC, that thing's in nice shape. I mean, we'll be able to just basically sand that and fill in some dings if we're going to get that excited about it. So let's get this thing put on. So here's what's giving us fits. Getting all them bolts we talked about earlier to line up. Well, after fiddle farting around with that way too long, we decided to take the fender off and attach that inner wheel well to the fender first. It being an aftermarket fender and aftermarket inner fender, might be some lineup issues there. Everything when we put the fender on it seemed to be okay, so I'll get it put together here.
You should have just listened to me in the first place.
I should have just listened to Mrs. L in the first place.
Who said? Probably been a lot easier to put this on before we put the fender on. We could put the fender. But hey, I don't hold things against you.
Bullshit. Let's go to the replay. So there we go. 2 minutes and 15 seconds into the 38th quarter of this event.
No, a minute 11.
Minute 11. Nailed it. I think we're gonna hog them in. Done. Well, that was dumb. Now I'll see if we can get it to go back on the truck. There we go. One fender installed. Let's do a carburetor. Alright, so we're going to tackle taking this thing off, putting the one on that we had done for the Camaro. Should be pretty straightforward. Take off these goofy little Jesus clips. You know why they call them that? Because when they go flying across the floor or across the garage, you go, Jesus, where did that go? So, and then the one on this side, this is still hooked into the...
Hey, Papa, look at this.
Hey, what do you got?
This moving this.
You see? My grandson Jameson, he's super excited about Halloween. So I know the carburetor from the Camaro, this is deleted, so I won't get rid of it, but I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to take off some vacuum lines, vacuum brake booster line by the looks of it in the back there. I don't know if I got a flare nut wrench that big. I don't. I don't have one that big. Oh, we're going to have to do it the bad way. So I'm going to have to transfer these to the new carburetor, new used, new rebuilt carburetor. That's a big block. Can you say big block?
Yeah.
Say big block.
Big block.
Yeah, Chevrolet. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Oh, you know what? I'm not going to worry about that till I take the carburetor out because I can disconnect that here. And then we can mess with it out there. Because I might just put a nipple in it. So let's take it off at the booster. Goes to the check valve on the booster. Pretty weird to see this stuff like when it's all original. Hasn't been tampered with because my fuel inlet is over here on the new carburetor, not here, so I'm gonna have to take that compression union off of there anyway. So I think I might want to put a probably end up cutting that fuel line a little bit anyway. I think I would like to put a filter in there, maybe. Just this stuff that's in the back of this thing is trash too. The bracket that holds that vacuum line that goes to the brake booster on. So in order to pull that, to get rid of it, I want to get rid of it. Might, we'll see. And then this Rochester and the one that was in the Camaro have exactly the same number on the choke horn, or the choke butterfly flap, whatever you want to call it, but I don't know that that's not just the part number for that. Not sure. I don't know if big block and small blocks are different. Get out here and we'll take a look at what we got changed. I had a new gasket, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to put that on. That's spoke show. That one's chewy and ugly. And this one is not. This one is beautiful and not squished. Now here's the one we're putting on. This is the one we're taking off. Like I said, the only difference is this fuel inlet right here. To me, a couple fittings. Get them swapped out, we'll put it back on. So I gotta switch this button up to the top, but it looks like I gotta put that in there too. Should be in good shape in a couple minutes. Okay, so I got that one transferred over. This hole's not big enough, so I'm gonna have to use a step bit and make it bigger. I did get this thing to come off. I had to take it in and put it on the bench vise to loosen things up because it was kind of gacked up, but we'll be able to reuse that. Get that fuel line to stop being fuel line right there. Actually, I think I'm just going to cut that off. That pulled out and cut it off. That way I can put hose on it with a filter. This is Al's redoing our truck bed coating. Kind of tore off in spots. Must not have had something done right there, I guess. Everything that is different is in this throttle shaft. Now that I got it all freaking bolted in there. The head on this pin's too big to slide over that, and this is hitting the bolt down there. So dandy. So the head of that fitting was too big to go through that shaft. I ended up having one that takes an E-clip. So we're going to put that on. You guys got a better tool for putting these on? Put it in the comments. I'd like to know what it is. Finally. Putting in one of these death traps so I can see what kind of junk's in that tank. Has kind of fresh fuel in it, but not super fresh. Put a battery on, see if we can get it to fire. Alright, well, got the battery in. Tried to change out the valve covers and put these fancy chrome ones in, but they're too tall. They hit against the brake booster. Turned into an absolute debacle. We'll just leave the old ones on there. They look better that way anyway. I'll put a little gas in here. If we can get this thing to fire off and see if about the only thing we did want to get done this time was to get that manifold changed and silence it. So let's see what happens here. We know it runs. Sounds like we got another exhaust leak by the ticking, but I have to do some adjusting and figure out why she's not wanting to idle. We're a long ways from driving it. So there we go. Fender on, manifold on, new carburetor on. Now we can start working on the body. Mrs. L's working on the box. We got a hood so we can cover it up. We got a carburetor that won't idle, that is freshly rebuilt. So I guess we'll dig into that a little bit more. Thanks for following along. We appreciate it. Like and subscribe. Got comments? Leave them down below for us. Never forget, drive your shit. We'll see ya.